Banjo-Kazooie, easily one of my favorite video games ever made. I've probably 100% completed that game at least 5 times in the past 2 or 3 years, and yet I still get the urge to boot it back up, if I'm being honest, every few months. And then of course there's Banjo-Tooie, the sequel that, while it failed to live up to the standards set by the first game, still showed the immense appeal and promise the series still had. I grew up on these 2 games. In my Banjo-Tooie video, I recounted my excitement at finding out that a sequel to the original game even existed, and how we went out and bought it that very weekend. But what I failed to mention is my lasting intrigue regarding the 3rd game in the original Banjo-Kazooie trilogy, Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge. Yeah, I bet there are probably a few people watching this right now who are big fans of the first 2 games on N64, but didn't even know this game existed until just now. You see, Grunty's Revenge was released in 2003 for the Game Boy Advance, and is technically what's known as an interquel. It was released several years after Banjo-Tooie, but it actually takes place only a few months after the events of Banjo-Kazooie, placing this game in between the 2 on the timeline. After being trapped under a boulder at the end of the first game, the evil witch Gruntilda manages to transfer her spirit into a robot body so she can exact her revenge on Banjo and Kazooie. She kidnaps Kazooie and travels back into the past to keep the 2 from ever meeting in the first place. Of course, with the help of Mumbo Jumbo, Banjo is able to travel back in time as well, and it's his job to rescue his friend and stop Gruntilda. Like the previous 2 games, Grunty's Revenge is a 3D collectathon platformer, but of course, the Game Boy Advance wasn't exactly known for its 3D capabilities, and as such, this game takes place from a top-down, overhead, sort of isometric perspective. Despite that, the core gameplay mechanics of the Banjo-Kazooie franchise are still preserved remarkably well. You can still expect to move, jump, attack enemies, solve puzzles, and collect items in a surprisingly convincing 3D space. Controlling this game feels nice. Honestly, I expected there to be a bigger learning curve than there actually was when it comes to the perspective. This is definitely not a full 3D game, but fortunately the designers seemed to know their limits when it came to what they could and could not pull off with their sort of overhead view. Of course, I had some trouble judging things like distance occasionally, but your shadow is a huge help letting you know where you are relative to the ground, and most of the actual platforming segments are kept simple for the sake of remaining intuitive. Unlike the first and second games, Grunty's Revenge starts you out with absolutely 0 moves, not even the most basic attack. Through the course of the game, you'll gradually relearn these old moves, which didn't really bother me all that much going in, since I kind of expected this to be a more banjo-focused game. The majority of even the most rudimentary abilities in the N64 games require Kazooie to perform, so I imagine that by the second or third world, I would be learning awesome new moves centered around Banjo in order to aid me in my quest to rescue Kazooie. So, imagine my surprise when I realized that you actually rescue Kazooie as early as the second world in the game, and yet the game continues to drip feed you old moves, something that seems even more glaring once you're back in control of both characters. Honestly, this game has very few new abilities on offer besides an entirely useless new egg type and a reworked egg firing system for the GBA. Everything else appeared in a previous game, and more importantly, at least half of them appeared as part of your most standard moveset. Fortunately, the game's levels are designed well enough that it's pretty easy for me to overlook such a detail. I am genuinely really impressed with how nice these levels are to complete. Honestly, it kind of feels like the hardware limitations of the GBA forced the developers to rein back in many of the more annoying design aspects of Banjo-Tooie, and it's a much better game for it. The level design philosophy feels way more similar to Banjo-Kazooie than its sequel, which I prefer. The level themes are a bit of a mismatch of different stages from the first 2 games, literally in some cases, like Bad Monster Bayou is a mix between Mad Monster Mansion and Bubble Gloop Swamp. I think the real high point of this game's creativity, though, comes from its transformations. Grunty's Revenge features 5 unique Mumbo transformations, which, once unlocked, can be used in any world. Every single one of these transformations are distinct, completely original to this game, and have their own individual uses in various puzzles. And yet, somehow, despite the majority of levels requiring you to transform at Mumbo's hut multiple times, thanks to the compact and dense level design, you never really feel like you're being asked to backtrack too much within stages. Several of the transformations are also legitimately fun to control. They tend to follow much more closely to the first game's philosophy, that being, transformations should offer fun new ways to move through levels, allow you to more easily traverse a stage hazard, or give you access to new areas you couldn't reach before. In order to unlock these transformations, you'll once again need to collect Mumbo tokens, but unlike in the N64 game, this time around you'll need to earn them by fighting bosses. Every level will see you facing off against Gruntilda herself or her assistant Klungo. That's really something I seem to notice a lot about this game. It takes elements from Banjo-Tooie and uses them in the original Banjo-Kazooie format. Grunty's Revenge also brings back the minigames from Tooie, all of which are a lot more tolerable than in the second game. I would even go so far as to say I really enjoyed the slide minigame, and the fishing minigame had its moments. Which brings us to the final boss fight. I consider the final boss of Grunty's Revenge to be pretty good, but it has some serious problems with execution. You'll first have to face off in a 9-hit battle against Mecha Grunty, followed immediately by a 3-question quiz game similar to the N64 titles. Then take on Klungo in a 3-hit fight, take on another 9-question quiz game, and then cap it off with a 12-hit final showdown against Gruntilda herself. Okay, that sounds fine, right? Except if you, like most members of my audience, are capable of basic arithmetic, you might have noticed I didn't just describe a final boss fight. What I just described was 3 boss fights and a quiz game. And yet, if you manage to take more than 9 damage at any point, and even that's assuming you maxed out your health by picking up every empty honeycomb, you are sent all the way back to Spiral Mountain and have to start the entire 5-part process over again. And, you know, I could cope with that. I really could. The Banjo series is kind of known for its arduous final bosses, and this one really isn't even that hard, just slightly more difficult versions of fights you've been having since the first world. But every time you want to retry this fight, you have to shoot out all of this fire up here to access this toll gate. And you don't have enough ice eggs. You don't. You have to stop and grind for ice eggs between every attempt. Is this Mega Man 2? When you finally manage to take down Mecha Grunty once and for all, the spirit of Gruntilda returns back under its rock in the present day, meaning the bear and bird are free to also return home and set up the card game for the events of Banjo-Tooie 22 months in the future, almost as if none of this ever happened in the first place. And I think that's the headline with this game. It failed to really make an impact. Grunty's Revenge is a really solid game. They managed to pull off the Banjo-Kazooie formula shockingly well on the GBA, and it does bring a lot of good original content to the table. New enemies, new stages, new challenges, new transformations. This is such a competent game, and I love the Banjo series so much. I went in assuming that any game even remotely similar to the first one would be an instant classic, which is why it kills me so much to say that honestly, the only impression this game really left on me was that it was Banjo-Kazooie on the GBA. I would recommend this game to any fan of the Banjo-Kazooie franchise. I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm genuinely glad I now have the experience of playing it. But I just can't see myself coming back to this game in the future over the N64 original or even Banjo-Tooie. I can easily recommend Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge to anyone and everyone, especially Banjo fans. I just wish it had more to say. So, it's recently come to my attention that Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 3 will actually be releasing this Thursday, which, it kind of snuck up on me. So, in order to accommodate that, I'm going to have to push my entire video schedule forward about a week. So, that video talking about Mega Man games that I mentioned in my Mega Man 3 video, unfortunately, that's also going to have to be pushed forward and delayed a week, so I can take care of Fortnite. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. This game has been in my backlog for so long, and I'm really glad to have finally completed it and talked about it. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and most importantly, share this video with anyone you think might enjoy it. It really helps out more than you could know. You can also follow me on social media down below, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and join my Discord server. We have some really cool stuff going on over there, some awesome conversations, so I hope to see you there. That's about all I've got for you this week. Thanks for watching.